Welcome in week 2 of the cash process. I'm your host, Ben Hostler. AC is busy, cannot make it to the computer today, so we're hitting a solo edition. We want to have this out on Tuesdays every week. So I'm going to hit a solo edition of the cash process here. We're going to quickly review week 1, what went right, what went wrong, and then we're going to preview week 2 of the NFL DFS landscape. Hopefully you guys had a good week 1. If you're watching this video, we truly appreciate it. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell so you get notifications. You get notified whenever we drop a video. If you guys don't know, I do a daily live stream Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, showing off the Bet Karma tools. We talk bets, all kinds of stuff over there. That's 3 p.m. every single day, Monday through Friday, over on the YouTube channel. You can check that out. I also go live. It was initially going to be in Discord. Might change it to YouTube. We went YouTube in week 1. Might do it on YouTube again. So if you guys don't know, Saturday nights, 9 p.m., 9:30 around then. I'll tweet it out on Saturday mornings, go live to talk about the slate, maybe build some lineups. And then Sunday morning, I know you guys joined me, 11 a.m. Eastern, answering all your final questions, DFS, season long, sports betting, props, survivor pools, whatever you guys got from me. So basically getting daily streams here throughout football season. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video. We really appreciate it. Week 1 for me wasn't very good. You guys know, if you've watched this video for the last 5-6 years that Anthony and I have done it. We come on here, we talk about it, good or bad. Anthony, I know, did very well. He profited on both DraftKings and FanDuel in week 1, and it was kind of the inverse for me. So Anthony had never profited on a week 1 slate, and he comes out this year and he wins on both sites. For me, I had a 6-year streak going. I had never lost in week 1, and that streak came to an end this year. I made a bad 2v2 decision in cash games on Saturday. If you guys watched the stream yesterday at 3, I told you I just knew it was a bad decision when I made it. Ended up not having Tyreek Hill in my lineup, and it was a mistake. So that was unfortunate. My GPPs didn't really do very well. I won back maybe 30% of what I entered, so wasn't a very good week for me. On the main slate, Showdown has been very good to me, luckily. So we came out Thursday night showdown with the Chiefs and Lions, took down tournaments. So I won a good chunk of money that night, and then did very well on showdown on Sunday night as well. So luckily we've had that showdown to kind of recoup the lack of success on the main slate. But look, it's 1 week. You guys know we've done this for years. We're not going to get too beat around about 1 week. We're going to get back to the grindstone. I'm ready to get into the grind week after week, and hopefully we put ourselves in position to win over the course of the season. Things will work out in the end. It's also been a very good betting start to the year for me. If you guys, obviously, we want you to check out dfskarma.com. We want you to join up, get in the Discord, and sign up, get access to the DFS core plays, the DFS Discord, all that good stuff. We want you to do that. But we also have betkarma.com, and college football and NFL betting has been exceptional for me. All my plays get tracked. You get access to the tools. Basically, when you sign up, you're signing up for the tools. Bet Karma has been absolutely going crazy the last few months. We have so many people joining up. It's awesome. You get access to the tools, but you also get premium access to my betting card for college football, for baseball, for college basketball coming up, and the NFL. And I am up 30 units over the last 30 days for $100 or better. That is over $3,000. NFL was great. Betting this weekend, college football was exceptional. So betcover.com, check that out. That's what we talk about mostly on the daily streams. With that being said, I'm ready to move on from week 1. I'm ready to get into week 2. I have the DraftKings. If you're watching the video and not on iTunes, I have the DraftKings salaries pulled up here on the screen. And we've made it 4 minutes without any Browns talk because AC wasn't here. I want to kind of get into, before I go through the injuries real quick from week 1 and then start talking about week 2, I do want to talk about kind of reacting to week one and where we go from here. So I think that it's a very fine line in the NFL. You don't want to overreact to things that happen in week one, but at the same time, it's not baseball, it's not basketball, there's not daily games. There's only one game a week. So you have to react quickly to things in order to make money. But like I said, there's a fine line between that and overreacting. So you don't want to overreact, but you have to react quickly. So it's a very, very fine line, especially early on in the season for people. So takeaways from week one for me, these teams that don't play guys, we saw this last season, and then we saw it this year. I can tell you, I can predict for you guys now, this will be a very hot button topic in the 2024 season. Coming into week one, it will be a very hot button topic of people talking like, oh, we should fade these teams that didn't play guys in the preseason. A lot of these teams that did not play their starters in the preseason struggled, and it looked like preseason football. The Cincinnati Bengals come to mind as one team, and there's numerous teams that just didn't look very good, and they didn't play their guys in the preseason at all. So that's something that we can take away. I don't want to overreact to some of these teams looking bad. Cincinnati, Buffalo. Buffalo played their guys a little bit in the preseason, but it's one game. Baltimore. I don't want to overreact to some of these spots. If you think about it, like really none of these teams went crazy in week one except for that Dolphins Chargers game. That really was like the only teams that really did anything crazy. San Fran looked really good, but yeah, the preseason matters in terms of guys getting reps, but clearly the preseason does not matter in terms of the teams that had success. Because you look at some of the teams that were very good in the preseason, the Pittsburgh Steelers come to mind. I mean, they just got absolutely dominated at home. So, I don't want to overreact to teams that didn't play their guys in the preseason because they're still adjusting to getting actual game reps. Another big takeaway for me, the Chargers offense. I didn't love what I saw. I don't think they played bad. They scored a lot of points, but I really wasn't encouraged. I didn't see them throwing the ball down the field more like we thought they would. Justin Herbert again, kind of. Matt and I talked about this when we did our first reaction video to the pricing when it first came out, but it's tough to play Justin Herbert in DFS, in my opinion. It's why I never really consider him a cash game play, but he just doesn't post those. I feel like his ceiling is a little bit lower than some of the guys priced around him. So, yeah, I wasn't really encouraged by what I saw from the Chargers. That was a little bit of a letdown. Personally, I mean, you think in a game that scored as many points like that one did, you would think that he was able to put up a bigger score. Obviously, he got trolled by Eckler on one of those touchdowns, but overall, I just don't think it was super encouraging what I saw from their offense. We did have some injuries to go over as well. So I'm going to pull that up. Austin Eckler is dealing with an injury. Not sure in terms of him playing or not, but he's dealing with an injury. Jacoby Myers had a very good game. He was dealing with a head injury. Greg Dulcich is going to be out, I think, moving forward for the Broncos. And then Evan Hall is going to be out for the Indianapolis Colts, the running back. We also had Aaron Jones dealing with something, but he kind of downplayed that after the game. He said that if they were losing or something, like he would have been able to go back in the game. So I guess we don't have to worry about his injury. And then Anthony Richardson, who looked really, really good in terms of fantasy production. He also was dealing with a bruise, I guess. He came out on the last drive of that game, and he said that he's going to be fine. So those two doesn't look like we need to monitor it much, but obviously we lost J.K. Dobbins completely. He is going to be out, torn Achilles. Aaron Rodgers also the big news. Very, very unfortunate for him. That was tough to watch. And then the other ones that I mentioned. So a little bit of injury stuff going on. But I think we can head in. So I have the DraftKings pricing pulled up. Starting at quarterback, we get the Chiefs back on the slate. Um, that's another injury, Travis Kelce, but I think the tentative plan is that he will be able to play this week. So keep that in mind. But Patrick Mahomes, 8,300 against the Jags. Josh Allen, 7,900. Lamar Jackson, 77. Justin Fields, 76. And Justin Herbert at 7K. So 5 guys above 7K on DraftKings. Josh Allen, this is a big sticking point here. If people are going to overreact to him having a bad game in week 1, I'm going to be very, very interested in playing some Josh Allen in tournaments this week. We will see what happens. They're at home. Good matchup, I think, against the Raiders. So we'll see what happens. But if people are going to freak out and not want to play Josh Allen, I saw Nick Wright had a tweet that he has like all these turnovers since the start of last year, like most turnovers in the league since the start of last year between interceptions and fumbles. I think the tweet was he's played 19 games, he's thrown 20 interceptions, and he has like 15 fumbles or something over that span. So if that's a talking point coming into the week, I'll be very interested in Josh Allen in tournaments. Probably not a cash game play for me, though. Lamar Jackson, again, don't want to overreact. I think he's a great tournament play. Justin Fields did not look good. Offensive line is a concern for the Bears. It always has been. Obviously, people were expecting a big leap for him passing the ball. 37 pass attempts is encouraging, although they were trailing basically the entire game. But I was a little bit lower on Justin Fields season long wise coming into the season. He still has slate breaking upside with his legs. I mean, 9 for 59 rushing. He can rush for over 100 yards every single week. So I wouldn't panic on him. Tournaments, I still think he will be a fine play moving forward. And then, like I said, Justin Herbert, super good matchup for Justin Herbert this week. Pass funnel spot against Tennessee. Not that he had a bad game. I mean, he had 21 DK, but I just expected a little bit more from Kellen Moore in the offense. So good tournament spot, but Justin Herbert will not be a cash game play for me pretty much the entire season. So with that being said, the top guys, we don't have Hurts on the slate. So you have these Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson types. Those are probably where you would go cash game wise if you're spending up. But I have interest in someone a little bit lower. Joe Burrow, fine tournament play at 6,900. Trevor Lawrence, good tournament play at 6,700 against the Chiefs. But for cash games, I'm sure he'll be very, very popular. Once again, it's Anthony Richardson. He's 6,300. Like I said, have to be encouraged. And anyone that drafted him in season long, I have a bet on him for Rookie of the Year at 9-1. Anyone that has these futures and just season long exposure, best ball exposure, whatever, you have to be really, really encouraged by what you saw. They let him throw the ball 37 times. He did had more passing yards than Justin Fields, which is hilarious. Did throw for a passing touchdown, and then 10 attempts with a ton of design runs. I think he had the second most designed run attempts of the entire week. 10 attempts for 40 yards with a rushing touchdown. I do firmly believe, if you guys didn't see the end of the Colts game, they got all the way down. They didn't have a chance to win the game, but they got down to basically the goal line, and Anthony Richardson came out of the game due to that bruise, and they ran a couple plays with Minshew from the goal line. Firmly believe if Anthony Richardson stayed in that game, he would have punched that in. So we're looking at potentially from him, 27, 28 DraftKings points. Like, I think he could have had 2 rushing touchdowns there with 11 attempts. Could have had another passing touchdown, but I'm assuming he would have just punched it in from the 1-yard line. But you have to be excited about what we saw. Now he plays the Houston Texans in week 2. Like I said, he said don't worry about his injury. So Anthony Richardson, I'm sure, will be very popular, and he will be the go-to cash game play for me this week. Outside of him, like I said, I think Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow, all those guys are fine tournament plays. Josh Allen, I can tell you right now, is probably going to be where I go in tournaments if people don't want to play him. Jared Goff at home, where he's been very good at Ford Field in his career, against Seattle, who that was basically the number one thing that I was wrong about in week 1. I don't know how good the Rams defense is going to be like for the rest of the season, because I'm just not a believer in the guys that they have on the field. But Seattle did not look good offensively. They lost multiple offensive linemen to injury in the game, and Geno Smith did not have a lot of time to throw. But the Seattle defense looked bad. They've very good outside corners, but they were getting absolutely cooked in the middle of the field by Matt Stafford and those Rams receivers. So you have to be excited about Jared Goff for tournaments at home here. I think he's been very good at home. We've seen him last season have multiple huge passing number games at home. So good spot for him at 6,200. Direct pivot off of Richardson in tournaments. Definitely going to be interested. All these guys below, I mean, Daniel Jones, Geno Smith, all those guys, you can consider those guys in tournaments every week, but none of them really stick out to me upon my first look. Obviously, be sure to check out the content later on in the week in my article for more takes on that. Moving on to the running back position. Most expensive running back this week is Christian McCaffrey, 8,900. He did what Christian McCaffrey does in week 1, 29 DraftKings points, ripped off a long touchdown run, had 22 attempts for 152 yards and a touchdown, added in 5 targets, 3 for 17 receiving. They didn't seem, I don't know what to make of this. Again, I don't want to overreact, but we were expecting Elijah Mitchell to be more involved than he was. I don't know if that's a long-term plan or if it was because it was week 1 and this is when Christian McCaffrey is the healthiest and they're not trying to conserve him for the playoffs. But very good workload. Definitely going to be interested in McCaffrey this week. Not sure if I will consider him in cash. I still think I would give the edge to receivers, but we don't have Tyreek Hill on the slate and some other guys. So, we'll see. Austin Eckler, like I said, we don't know about his injury. If he were to miss this game, obviously Josh Kelly would be a smash play. At his price, he is $5K on DraftKings. So, we'll monitor that throughout the week. If he's in and active, he's fine on DraftKings, full point PPR, but I typically don't play a ton of Austin Eckler myself. So we'll see. Saquon Barkley, I think, is a great tournament play at 8K. The Giants got absolutely boat raced by the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. Much, much better spot for them against Arizona here. Saquon Barkley, when they're not down by 30 points instantly, is going to have a fantastic role again this season. Good matchup. 8K for Saquon Barkley looks pretty good to me. As far as cash games go, we'll see about McCaffrey there in the week. I just don't know. Bijan Robinson looked electric in week 1, but Tyler Algier, very much a factor. This is why I didn't want to just run out of my way to spend a top 4 or 5 season-long pick on Bijan Robinson. So he's going to be pretty much GPP for me for the bulk of the season. Tony Pollard at 7,500 at home against the Jets looks very, very good. Dallas has moved. They opened at like a 3-point favorite in this game. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is out now, so they've ballooned up to 8-9-point favorites at home. Great spot for Pollard as a big home favorite. Even with them being up, he got a lot of goal line looks, which I wrote in my article. I wrote him up for an anytime touchdown this week. Obviously, that cashed, but I wrote up that Zeke last year was top 5 in attempts inside the 10. He was up there for attempts inside the 5 as well. If any of those go to Pollard, he's going to have a very good role because we know he's going to get you 16, 17 touches weekly anyways, and he did get goal line work. So super encouraging for Tony Pollard. I'm very high on him having a big season. So 7,500 at home as a big favorite. Love the spot for Pollard. Henry and Jacobs are our tournament plays for me pretty much weekly. Same can be said for ETN. I think we have to be really, really happy with what we saw from Travis Etienne. Tank Bigsby looked pretty bad overall. He did punch in a touchdown on the goal line, but ETN, this five catches, I'm excited about. I think ETN kind of was like in on him in season long where he was going, and I think the probability that he has a big season. Tank Bigsby looked legitimately bad on the field. Again, they gave him a touchdown late in the game, but I'm excited about what I saw from ETN here. Close spread at home. Looks like a pretty good tournament play to me. Jahmyr Gibbs looks like a great tournament play to me here at 6,300 at home. As a favorite, I think his role will continue to grow throughout the season. David Montgomery still will be a factor, but Jahmyr Gibbs is too good not to get on the field. I mean, he had 2 would-be touchdowns in that game against the Chiefs. One, he just slipped and fell. he looked electric when he had the ball, and I think they'll continue giving him more touches. So definitely like that spot in tournaments for Gibbs. Cash game wise, Kenneth Walker stuck out to me here at 5,800. Zach Charbonnet was not very involved. Kenneth Walker was eating in the first half of that game when it was close. Then they got down. They couldn't really run the ball as much, and they just really couldn't get anything going in the second half. But, Zach Charbonnet was not very involved at all. Have to be encouraged with this four catches on 5 targets. I know the yards aren't there, but 5 targets is good for Kenneth Walker. Against Detroit, I'm definitely interested in him at 5,800. Pacheco, GPP for me. James Cook, GPP for me. Tyler Algier, GPP, I think. Rachaad White, I think, is interesting here. Not sure if I'll be in on him for cash games just because of how bad. I don't know. Like, I don't know what I expect from Tampa. If you guys watch this, AC was high on Tampa's offense in week 1. I had a bet on Tampa to win that game, which they did. But Minnesota, I'm very low on their defense for this season. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But Rachaad White did get a ton of the work, 17 attempts, played a lot of the snaps, dominated the snaps. So that's encouraging for him. But if he has a couple more bad games, I do think they're going to give Sean Tucker a look. Brian Robinson did good, but on DraftKings, not really somebody that I go out of my way to play. He did get more receiving work. Like, he only has 2 targets. I guess he caught a touchdown. I don't know. I feel like route-wise, I don't have the numbers pulled up, but I feel like he did more route-wise than I had anticipated coming into the season. But I want to talk about Deion Jackson here at 4,900. He had 13 attempts for 14 yards. That's horrible. But he did see 6 targets and lost 2 fumbles, which also is not good. But let's talk about this. Indy played extremely fast. Like, they were running at just an insane pace in that game. There looks like a team that we're going to want to stack like their games often. Like, just with that, I think they were first overall in pace, and now Evan Hall was out. So if we pull up Evan Hall here, he actually didn't do much, but I think snap wise, he definitely was on the field a little bit. I don't have it pulled up, but I don't know when Zach Moss will be coming back. If Zach Moss is not back and Evan Hall is out for this game, obviously Anthony Richardson is going to take, I would assume, most of the close looks, but Deion Jackson, I do think, will probably pop in projections. Not sure how I really feel about it. For like a cash game perspective, I don't know. It's just me and Matt were kind of on it. Like, we really did not want to play Jamal Williams last week, and as you can see, that didn't turn out. Deion Jackson definitely fits into that like mold for me. So we'll see later on in the week, but I do want to bring him up because if Evan Hall gets ruled out and Zach Moss is not back, I do think Deion Jackson will probably pop in projections, especially given the matchup against Houston. They let up 3 rushing touchdowns in week 1 to the Ravens. They were one of the worst rush defenses in football last year, arguably the worst. So that's something to monitor. He's only 4,900. I think that about does it overall. On to wide receiver. Steph Diggs had a really good game. Even despite Josh Allen's struggles, tough matchup against Sauce Gardner, and that Jets secondary still had 10 for 100 and a touchdown. A really good game for him. Like I said, I'm probably going to be pretty interested in Josh Allen this week in tournaments, so Steph Diggs will be right there as well. Jamar Chase, I am not worried about that first game for the Bengals. You can fire Jamar Chase up confidently in all formats, but Amon-Ra St. Brown is who I want to talk about. So, like I said, the Seattle defense was getting just carved up in the middle of the field last week. That fits in perfectly to Amon-Ra St. Brown's game. He looked great in week 1. I think he's going to be, I think he's live to lead the league in catches this year. He's going to have a monster year, 7,800. Love Amon-Ra St. Brown this week at 7,800. He's probably my favorite play. Calvin Ridley looked exceptional in week 1. First game back in almost 2 years. Just an easy 11 targets, 8 for 100 and a touchdown. He also had another touchdown, I'm pretty sure, that got called back. So could have been an even bigger day for Calvin Ridley. 7,200 expected shootout against the Chiefs. Fire him up. Cash games. He's going to be super high owned. Tough fade for me in cash this week is Calvin Ridley. So Calvin Ridley and ARSB stick out as my two favorites. Diggs for tournaments I love. Chase is always in play. CD, tough matchup, but he's definitely in play. Devontae's in play for tournaments. Garrett Wilson is dead as long as Zach Wilson is the Jets quarterback. So until they make a move for a quarterback, it's going to be tough to get excited about Garrett Wilson at this price tag because Zach Wilson literally can't complete a forward pass. Everything he did, other than the touchdown pass to Garrett Wilson, which was just the craziest catch I've ever seen in a game, the pass was so bad he had a guy draped all over him. He tipped the ball to himself to catch it. Other than that, everything the Jets did was a screen, bubble screen, run the ball. I have no confidence in Zach Wilson. All these guys below Ridley are going to be GPP for me because I think Ridley and ARSB are going to be tough fades for cash. So I think if you plug those guys in and you plug in Anthony Richardson, let's see what this does. So we plug in Richardson, we plug in St. Brown, Ridley. Let's just put any defense in. I'll just click whoever. There's tons of cheap tight ends. Just click one. Yeah. Pretty standard build here, but Ridley and ARSB I think are going to be my cash plays. So all these other 7K guys are good for tournaments. Moving on down, both Brandon Ayuk and Debo are in good spots here against the Rams. Debo historically I think has been pretty good against the Rams, but I don't have the numbers pulled up. Ayuk, I told you guys on the stream on Sunday that he's very, very good against man coverage. Pittsburgh, very man heavy. I mean, he went absolutely nuclear. 35.9 DraftKings points, caught all 8 of his targets for 129, 2 touchdowns. Good spot for both those guys. Good spot for the Chargers guys. So Keenan Allen was up there. He can be a pivot off of Ridley. Mike Williams, never really someone you play in cash, but he's definitely interesting for tournaments at 5,700 against Tennessee. Zay Flowers, I think we have to talk about. He's 5K, definitely going to be in consideration for cash games. He had 10 targets. That was around 44% of the Ravens' entire targets in week 1 went to Zay Flowers, and he did Zay Flowers things. I mean, he's absolutely electric when he gets the ball in his hands. I have a bet on him to lead all rookies in receiving yards. Good start with 78 for him in week 1. Also got 2 rush attempts, and maybe with Dobbins out, and apparently they're not going to bring anyone in, which I guess we didn't talk about the Ravens running backs. I'll go back and look at that, but maybe he sees a couple more of these like jet sweep type stuff in week 2, so maybe 2-3 rush attempts for him on top of his targets. So Zay Flowers is going to be a fantastic cash game play for me this week. The Rams guys, Puka went absolutely ham. 15 targets is insane. I don't think we've ever seen a rookie come out and have 15 targets in recent times in his first game. I mean, absolutely insane game for Puka. Tutu Atwell had a good game as well. Both of them, went over 100 receiving yards. Definitely a good spot for those guys with Cooper Kupp out. They can be considered for cash games and tournaments. Another tournament play that I think is interesting is going to be Kadarius Toney here at 4,600. Literally, if you want to talk about overreactions, he had a bad game, and I'm not denying that. But literally, in prime time, everybody watched Kadarius Toney last week. Nobody wants to play Kadarius Toney in week 2, but it should be a great game against the Jags. Definite shootout potential. And when he's on the field, they try and give him the ball. Had a rush attempt. He's live for red zone rush attempts on the goal line, especially. He's live when he checks in to the game. They throw him the ball, whether he drops it or not. So Kadarius Toney, I do think is a good tournament play this week. Obviously, not playing him in cash games. There's some other cheaper guys down here that I think you could fire on. I mean, Rashee Rice scored. He didn't run a lot of routes, but he did score the touchdown. So maybe his role grows this week. People might talk about him for GPPs. Deontay Hardy at 3,300 played a good amount for the Bills last night. Did have a rush attempt, and he had a couple early targets in that game as well. He's 3,300. Kind of thin, I think, for cash but just something to consider. Marvin Mims did not play a lot. People were wrong. We were collectively wrong about Marvin Mims. I ended up pivoting off Marvin Mims in cash. It didn't even make a difference. But he was outsnapped by multiple other players, including Lil Jordan Humphrey. Sean Payton just wants to get his guys from New Orleans in there, apparently. I don't see anyone else cheap, like really sticking out. But I want to go back and talk about the Ravens guys. And then I want to mention DeAndre Hopkins as a tournament play as well. Don't know. I mean, maybe consider him for cash, but I mean, the usage you have to be excited about. I mean, 13 targets, only caught 7 of them. Not an efficient game from him, but I mean, they were force feeding DeAndre Hopkins the ball. So I think you have to be excited about that if you have DeAndre Hopkins on your season-long team, and we can consider him a decent play this week as well. Mainly Zay Flowers, ARSB, and Calvin Ridley. I think that's probably like your cash game receivers this week. Ravens guys, like I said, without Dobbins. Justice Hill's 4,900. Definitely interesting. I saw they were going to bring in Melvin Gordon. I don't really think that's trustworthy. He's 4,400. Justice Hill, I definitely think is in play. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens by the weekend. We will see. We will move to tight end. Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews. Who knows if these guys play? If they're in good tournament plays. If they are out. Obviously, if Kelce misses, Noah Gray at 3,400 definitely would be a cash game play, I think. Isaiah Likely got just nothing last week. But, I mean, he'll pop again if Andrews is out. We'll see what happens with those guys. Darren Waller, I think, is a really good tournament play. Should be healthier. He didn't have to do much in that game. And so he should be a little bit healthier this week. Good matchup against Arizona. I think that he's going to smash in this Giants offense. So Darren Waller, 5,500, fire him up in tournaments. Higbee's still too expensive for me to consider for a cash game. So I think we drop down Sam Laporta. Like I said, Noah Gray if Kelsey's out. Dalton Kincaid. Chig Okonkwo ran a ton of routes. Didn't do much, only 2 targets, but he was on the field a lot running routes. That's positive. He's 3,300. Luke Musgrave, 3,200. Jake Ferguson, 3,300. 7 targets from Dak Prescott last week. So there's a lot of guys in this low range you can consider. And then you also have Adam Troutman here with no Dulcich. He's 3,300, caught all 5 of his targets for 34 yards. So there's an abundance of cheap tight end plays this week. That's where you're going in cash games. Darren Waller looks really good in tournaments for me. And then obviously you have Kelce Andrews as well. But plenty of cheap guys to choose from in cash games this week. Finishing it off with defense. Cowboys, I'm sure people will want to fire them up in tournaments. Coming off a 37 DK point game. Now they get to just tee off on Zach Wilson. There is a likely chance that Micah Parsons just murders Zach Wilson on the field on Sunday. I mean, I literally pray for Zach Wilson behind that offensive line trying to stop this Cowboys defense. It is going to be an ugly, ugly scene. So Cowboys and Pollard, I'm sure will be a popular little stack in tournaments. After that, I think we're dropping down here for your cash games. Lions at home interest me. Baltimore Ravens interest me. Arizona Cardinals interest me at 26. That's probably the focus for me early, but we'll see how the builds work out as we move on. A little bit of a longer episode, even though I was on here by myself, but tried to go a little bit more in depth. If you guys like the solo editions, let me know in the YouTube comments. Like I said, if you made it this far, I really appreciate you. Please like the video. It helps us out a lot. Let's see if we can get 100 likes on this video on YouTube. So that's the goal, 100 likes. Like the video. Let me know in the comments if you like the solo edition. Let me know in the comments how you guys did in week 1. I'm curious how you guys all did. Hopefully you did better than me. Good luck in your week 2 contests. I'll be live the rest of the week, 3 p.m., and then Saturday night on YouTube, Sunday morning on YouTube. If you have any further questions, reach out to me in our Discord, on Twitter, @Ben Hostler. Good luck in week 2, and I'll see you guys next time.